iceberg was more than enough, and so day in, day out players spent hours dancing, jackhammering, and incessantly typing "tip the iceberg, everyone hammer" over and over again. It's unknown where exactly this urban legend started. I searched and couldn't pinpoint a single post or in-game event that caused it, but it seems that the staff were generally responsible for starting and continuing to spread the rumor over the years. Hints to the iceberg tipping appeared frequently in the in-game newspaper, the Club Penguin Times, and one of the creators even specifically mentioned it in that 2011 blog post that we mentioned earlier. One of the most damning pieces of evidence came a few years later in 2014 during the Halloween party when a painting of a tipped iceberg was added to one of the rooms, and when the lodge attic was renovated in 2015, the painting was added there as well. After all of these constant iceberg mentions, players knew it couldn't just be a mere joke or some throwaway line. The staff were intentionally dropping hints about the iceberg. It had to be real. And so for years the mythos of the iceberg grew and grew, building steam until eventually it died out. Don't worry, we'll put a pin in the iceberg for now and we'll come back to it. Despite how virally popular the game was, unfortunately all good things must come to an end. It's unknown how long numbers had been dwindling, but by 2015 cracks were already beginning to show publicly, with the reveal that the UK office had been shut down and 28 staff members had been laid off from the Canadian headquarters. Throughout the year, the decay of the site became clearer and clearer as German and Russian servers were completely shut down and many more staff across the global offices were laid off, a move which Disney called, quote, consolidating a small number of teams and undergoing a targeted reduction in the workforce. As with most things, it mainly came down to money. It's clear from these layoffs and the gradual shutdown of the site that player numbers were dwindling and therefore so was revenue. Now, knowing how these businesses work, it's probably fair to say that Disney was still making a killing off of this game, but you know what they say in the industry, when the profits begin to dip, it's time to jump ship. I'm kidding, actually. They don't say that, I just made it up. Pretty good though, and if you're a businessman, you know, you can use it if you want. You know, spread it around, make it a thing. Another contributing factor to the shutdown of the site was the popularity of mobile apps and the potential that Disney saw within them. See, the early to mid-2010s was the era of the mobile app, with Angry Birds in 2009 setting the stage for viral games like Candy Crush, Flappy Bird, Cut the Rope, Temple Run, Kim Kardashian Hollywood. The gaming industry saw a huge shift towards mobile games and apps, and the declining player numbers and revenue on the main site was evidence enough that it was time for a mobile shift. And so on January 30th of 2017, Club Penguin announced that the game would be shutting down on March 29th to make way for the brand new mobile game Club Penguin Island. Bigger, better, and more fun than ever, with tons of improvements and brand new features while building on the foundations that players had come to know and love. And the community flipped out. If you grew up during this time period, or you played Club Penguin around this time, you know how big of a staple the game was in many kids' lives and in internet culture in general. It was right up there with Neopets in terms of nostalgia and widespread adoration, so the news that everyone's most beloved childhood game was shutting down came as a pretty big shock. The community was outraged, and players who hadn't played in years came out of the woodworks to protest the shutdown, and the site saw a huge surge in members as OG fans came flooding back. In true Club Penguin fashion, a party was announced, the Waddle On Party, which started the day after the announcement and lasted until the final servers went dark. An outline article called the party, quote, essentially a G-rated version of an End of Days rager, except it wasn't exactly as G-rated as they seemed to think. But before we can get into that, we need to talk about banning. The system was put in place to protect children from profanity and vulgarity in all forms, and users could face punishments ranging from a simple warning to a 24-hour ban to a permanent account suspension for swearing or discussing violent or suggestive topics. There are some pretty great examples of bans glitching out though. For example, during the 2012 Couple Party, a glitch caused anyone who danced to be banned. That same year, during the 2012 Music Jam, anyone who entered the stadium was banned for 24 hours, and when Disney launched their Monsters University takeover, players were banned for using the new emoticons for quote attempted game manipulation. Honestly, Club Penguin bans were pretty funny. I remember multiple times when I was a kid I would get banned for like typing in swear words just to see what happened, as if something else was gonna happen. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to doing stuff like that as a kid. The ban meme was so popular that a subreddit called r/ban from Club Penguin was created in 2013, filled with memes about people's childhood fears of their parents finding out about their virtual bans, as well as memes and screenshots of their own bans. So while the meme had been going strong for several years, at this point when the Penguin Apocalypse was announced, players threw caution to the wind and beckoned the banhammer to take a swing. As an act of defiance, players began spamming swear words and vulgarities to get their accounts permanently banned, flooding the subreddit with screenshots, and a trend even started where players would speedrun their bans. From a PC Gamer article, quote, "With Disney closing down Club Penguin on March 29th, the future of ban from Club Penguin looked bleak. Then user Button Walls had the brilliant idea to record how quickly he could get banned. Their run clocked in at 1 minute 54 seconds. As others critiqued their technique in the comments and saw opportunities to improve the time, a sport was born. Fast forward a week and 2KRN4U has the world record at 39 seconds. However, that seems to have been beaten by a user called Camological, who holds the current world record at 33 seconds. Now that's some speedy swearing. And while this very vocal group of profane penguins did exist, the other side of the player base just was revisiting the game to reminisce about the good old days and soak in the nostalgia of the game. Mostly they kept to the town and plaza, but a large chunk flocked to the iceberg in hopes of finally tipping it and revealing the secrets that it hid underneath. The iceberg had persisted as a myth on the site for upwards of a decade by that point, so you can't blame them for trying one last time to finally uncover the secret. Little did they know that the staff had prepared a little surprise for the players attending the Waddle On party. As a last hurrah and a celebration of the players' dedication to solving the mystery of the iceberg, during the Waddle On party, players were able to finally tip the iceberg. At least 5 players in the room had to be wearing blue, walking a blue puffle, dancing, and wearing a hard hat for the iceberg to finally tip over and reveal a dance floor with an inscription that read, quote, "Together we can build an island, create a community, change the world, and even tip an iceberg. Waddle on." As the final days neared, the game began to descend into madness and anarchy. There were no rules, no consequences, no future for these players, so Penguin civilization as they knew it fell apart at the seams. Club Penguin gave all members a free membership on the very last day of the server's existence. Most felt that it was pointless. It was truly the end of days. And just like that, Club Penguin ceased to be a game and became nothing but a memory. The final server shut down on March 30th, 2017 at 12:01:39 AM PDT, and you can find multiple clips out there of the final minutes before the complete shutdown. They're as chaotic as you'd expect, but they really capture the love and passion that many had for the game. RIP Club Penguin, you will be missed. But it was time to move on to the future was looking bright for the beloved game. Club Penguin was gone, yes, but Club Penguin Island, the brand new mobile game, was on the horizon and was set to be a bold new step in the franchise, one that would reignite the community and bring the game back into the mainstream. Though the OG game would be missed, things were looking up. So, Club Penguin Island bombed hard. Users felt that the game was a huge cash grab and even more egregious with its pay-to-play elements than before, not to mention feedback that the game was boring and lacked the spirit of the original. The classic Club Penguin charm was gone, and while the original didn't shy away from advertising crossovers and pay-to-play elements, Club Penguin Island took things to a ridiculous degree. Allegedly, during this time, Disney was hugely scaling back their game department as well. A Reddit comment on the topic reads, quote, "Disney completely gave up on games. They shut down their game department/studio, and CPI was pretty much the only game in there. Disney is using third-party game studios to create games, which they've done for things like Emoji Blitz." Now you may be saying, well Izzy, this is just a random Reddit comment, those hold about as much water as a pasta strainer, but there's actually evidence to back this up. Multiple articles from 2016 detailed the shutdown of Disney Interactive and their games division following the failure of Disney Infinity, with the company shutting down production on games and outsourcing the work to outside development companies. This is also backed up by the fact that all of those successful spin-off Club Penguin mobile apps cashing in on the mobile trend were removed from the App Store in the lead up to the original Club Penguin shutdown. So why exactly, with no games division and dwindling staff members, did Disney think it was a good idea to release Club Penguin Island? Well, that's a mystery that I can't answer because it kind of baffles me, and Club Penguin Island was shut down the year after its initial release. Rumors spread that the marketing department had been fired before the game released, though these are unsubstantiated, and regardless, I don't think marketing would have made much difference. The game was lackluster, reviews were mixed to poor, and I can't imagine player counts were soaring into the tens of millions like they used to back in the golden days. There was one other incident. The Quackity raids. Yes, just like Animal Jam, Club Penguin Island 2 was raided and memed on by YouTuber and Twitch streamer Quackity, who was well known for his raids on children's websites like Movie Star Planet, Mushy Monsters Have a Hotel, and of course Club Penguin Island. On the 16th of December 2017, the YouTuber created a video titled Club Penguin Penguin Island is the worst game ever, in which he claimed that if the video got 20k likes, he would raid the game. With over 104,000 likes, it's fair to say that the video hit its goal, and so the raid was carried out on January 13, 2018 and was streamed on Twitch. Quackity urged all of the raiders to get the 7-day free membership trial in order to wear the Mike Wazowski suit, as a Monsters University collaboration event was taking place in the game. However, it appears that the moderators disabled the free trial before the raid started, which became a huge point of contention as raiders began to spam Club Penguin Island and Disney, demanding that they enable the trial. This setback didn't stop the raid though, and as Quackity joined the game, thousands followed, pushing the service to their limits as hundreds of green penguins and Mike Wazowskis flooded through. After only 20 minutes of raiding, players began to experience server issues since, over 8,000 players were trying to get in, and the servers then crashed. A few Twitter hashtags and a lot of angry Club Penguin Island players later, and the raid was officially declared a success, but it wasn't over yet, not by a long shot. While Club Penguin Island was picking up the pieces from the last raid and trying to keep their struggling game afloat, another attack was being planned, this time carried out on September the 1st of 2018. This time, over 28,000 people took part in the raid, all directed to colour their penguin the quote ugly piss colour, and Quackity struggled to even log on to the game and stream due to the crowded servers. After spamming the phrase in-game, raiders got the Twitter hashtag #BissOnMickey trending in the United States and got Club Penguin Island trending on Twitch, but the moderators weren't going down without a fight. They began emptying the servers and disabling the chat feature, and due to the spamming on Twitter, many raiders found that they had been blocked by the official Club Penguin Island account. The raid eventually came to an end after Quackity felt that the game had been satisfiably broken, and the staff were once again left in the wake of the destruction to clean up the mess. Now, I'm not saying this raid was responsible for shutting Club Penguin Island down, but I have to say that the staff team must have been wearing very thin at this point. The game's numbers had been dropping for a while, and the only spike in players was when a bunch of people piled onto the server to troll and try and break the game. It's gotta be a brutal feeling. And so it was announced in September of 2018 that Club Penguin Island would be shutting down in December of that year. Disney would be retiring the Club Penguin brand. In a blog post, staff wrote, quote, "There's no easy way to say this, but after 13 incredible years, Club Penguin will be sunsetting at the end of this year. We'll be providing players with all of the necessary information in the coming weeks via in-game messages and updates here on Island News. When we replaced the original Club Penguin game a year and a half ago, we always strived to make Club Penguin Island the best mobile successor to the original game. From day one of development, Club Penguin Island has been a true passion project for everyone here at Disney, but the time has come for the party to end." And while the closure of Club Penguin Island went largely without any fanfare, especially compared to the big bang that the original went out with, the fallout of this decision hit the employees at Club Penguin very hard. A Kotaku article on the subject details how the decision affected the employees. Quote, "One former employee, who is anonymous for fear of retribution, told Kotaku that he felt blindsided by the news. Although employees working on the game knew Club Penguin Island wasn't doing well, he said the studio had been pitching other projects. We were told 3 weeks ago that we'd been greenlit and would have jobs for at least 2 years while we built and launched a new product. The whole studio was basically popping champagne only to have that pulled out from under us by someone way up the chain at Disney," he said. And so the story of Club Penguin came to a rather sad and abrupt close, leaving players and employees alike in the lurch. And though Disney had closed the book on Club Penguin, this would be far from the end of our story, and in fact, it was about to take a dark twist. While the closure of Club Penguin Island can be attributed to many things, from the raids to the poor reception to the lack of marketing, I believe there was one key factor that played a part: Club Penguin private servers. A Club Penguin private server, commonly abbreviated and known as a CPPS, is an online multiplayer game that is not part of Club Penguin but uses unlicensed Swift files from Club Penguin, a database, and a server emulator in order to create a similar environment for the game. Many now use these environments in order to play the original game after its discontinuation. CPPSs often contain features that did not exist in the original game, such as custom items and rooms, free membership, etc. Now, private servers had actually existed for a long time before Club Penguin went offline. It's widely believed that the first ever private server was set up in the summer of 2010 and was called ICPv1. This server was extremely rudimentary with poor security, and unlike the browser-based Club Penguin, it had to be downloaded as a file to the computer. Allegedly, after receiving pressure from Disney to close down due to copyright, they released their server code to the public, allowing other people to start up their own private servers. From then on, they became more common, though pre-shutdown private servers were far less popular and mainly used by friend groups and small communities. Most of these servers had no regulations, allowing players to use cheats and admin commands as well as say anything with no filters. This was all well and good for small groups goofing around, but after the shutdown more official servers began to pop up, and as these became more and more popular, the lack of quality control, moderation and restrictions became a huge problem. By the time that January 2017 rolled around and Club Penguin's shutdown was announced, players were already hard at work setting up tons of new private servers. One of the most popular servers and one of the main players in our story was Club Penguin Rewritten, launched just a few weeks after the announcement on the 12th of February. Within a month, the game had over 10,000 registered accounts in its own wiki, and shortly after, when the official game servers closed, the player count of Club Penguin Rewritten absolutely skyrocketed. And it makes complete sense. Players across the globe were mourning the loss of their beloved childhood game, and here suddenly they were being offered the exact same game with the exact same player base, but this time membership was free. Club Penguin Rewritten had the edge over other private servers as well, since they strived to create an identical replica of the game, including its family-friendly safety features. While other private servers embraced chaos, allowing swearing and cheating and game manipulation, Rewritten enforced the same rules as the original game and hired on a moderator team to keep the game age-appropriate and faithful to the original. The player count had skyrocketed to over 10,000 players by April 2017, and by October they'd hit 1 million. As of 2021, Club Penguin Rewritten has over 10 million accounts, and in a lot of regards has done better than the original game, hitting milestones quicker and garnering more goodwill by adding new content and updates. But as you'll come to find out with private servers, nothing is ever as it seems, and behind the scenes things were kind of falling apart. Firstly, security issues. The first cracks began to show as early as 2017 when the site experienced a DDoS attack due to lackluster security. The developers for Rewritten hadn't anticipated their numbers getting so high, and so were left scrambling to update the site's security as more and more players piled in. This came to a head in early 2018 when the site suffered a severe data breach that exposed upwards of 1.7 million email addresses, usernames, passwords, and IP addresses. All that staff had to say in the wake of this drama was that they were aware of the breach and had contacted the affected users. In July of 2019, actually on the 2-year anniversary since the first DDoS attack, another data breach occurred, this time affecting over 4 million accounts. With security on the site unraveling and millions of users exposed, the staff finally came out and made a statement, and a pretty bizarre one at that. It covered the usual ground, explaining how the breach occurred and apologizing profusely, but in a section titled Our Story, things get weird. Which leads us to the second issue that plagued Club Penguin Rewritten: staff infighting and drama. If there's one thing that I've learned while researching all these fan-made games and communities, it's that 99% of the time behind the scenes, everything is completely falling apart and all the staff hate each other. Okay, maybe that's a bit dramatic, but when all of the staff are unpaid and there's no overseeing company to make sure everything goes smoothly, things can go south really quick. In their security breach apology post, Club Penguin Rewritten included a section titled Our Story, which went into detail about some bizarre behind-the-scenes drama going on, and it's really too bonkers to even summarize, so I'll just read you the whole post. Quote, on February 8, 2018, our ex-system administrator Cody was fired from his position. This was due to an array of reasons. A week after being demoted, Cody threatened to leak the CPR server code, codename Auroras, which was made by an administrator. This was not his work and he had no right to leak it, but he did so in spite. A few months later, Cody leaked the personal information of a few team members to the internet and to cybercriminals such as personal emails, home addresses, and facial pictures. He then got people to continuously send pizzas and emergency services to staff houses in spite of being kicked from the team. This led to Club Penguin Rewritten's initial temporary shutdown on March 2018 as we value our staff's safety. We used this time to look back and figure out the situation. This also included the police and cybersecurity experts getting involved. Cody and his friends created multiple websites and social media accounts to slander our administration team. One of his friends got into a social media account that belonged to an administrator on the CPR team, and when they were a minor, leaked facial pictures and personal information in an attempt to get CPR closed. After a few months of silence, Cody sent a fraudulent letter to 2 of our admins pretending to be Disney. The letter was clearly fake as there was no return address, there was bad grammar, and no signature of the writer or company. We know this was him because he threatened to do this before and impersonated Disney before on many occasions to take down other servers. On April 23, 2019, Cody sent a backup of the CPR database to Have I Been Pwned. He played this off as if it was an actual security breach and went as far as to change the date of the breach to 2019 when the database backup was from early 2018, the year before. He contacted the owner of the website, Troy Hunt, and tried getting him involved in all of these politics to once again try and spite us. Troy Hunt contacted us and we worked with him to get the correct information out on this website. On February 28, 2021, a developer from the staff team was removed due to, quote, racist remarks and inappropriate behavior in addition to starting up a relationship with a player. Due to the inherent unprofessionalism and power imbalance, this was heavily criticized, and after all of this came to light, staff posted an apology on Twitter explaining that new rules had been put in place for staff and that offending developer had been removed. Controversy stirred up again, however, when it came to light that multiple prominent staff members had been aware of this behavior for a number of years, and they had both failed to do a background check and had willfully ignored it for a long time. On their Twitter apology, outcry from the community can be seen. Thank you for keeping CPR a safe place. They've done nothing but the opposite. You guys knew of the developer's actions years ago, come on man. They knew what he was doing, they just kept it hush-hush like they did with the data breach, like they did with the fact they stole charity money, like they have always done. In regards to the stealing charity money claim, I looked into this and couldn't find any information about it, so as far as I know this is an unsubstantiated claim. Another controversy occurred on New Year's Day 2019 where admins and stuff were celebrating with players. Reportedly, the admins became drunk during this time and began swearing and playing inappropriate songs, culminating in the slightly hilarious headline, "CPR admins go on drunken rampage on their Discord server." Screenshots of the admins' inappropriate behavior flooded Twitter and were shared around the community, leading to widespread criticism of the admins' unprofessionalism, especially given the community and Discord server were meant to be family-friendly spaces. An apology was issued and the chat was purged, but this event left a permanent stain on the reputation of the staff team. And while juggling security breaches and staff drama, Club Penguin Rewritten faced a third challenge and perhaps the most daunting of all, legal issues. Their first encounter with Disney came pretty early in the site's existence, around October of 2017, where Disney filed a complaint against the site, causing them to change the domain name from clubpenguinrewritten.pw to cprewritten.net. Many have described this as a loophole, and while I don't understand it and maybe someone more knowledgeable can give an explanation in the comments, this seemed to have worked